thing I want you to do here is to align them. This is so useful. We're going to open the alignment window. Align. There's so much you can do here. So we have to select something to align it. So you can, using this selection tool, you can click and select this or this or this. You can also shift click to select multiple things. Or what's easier is you can just drag over it. Select all of them. And here, if I've selected all of these, we can align them to the left or to the right or to the right and above or to the center and above, right? You can do so many things. We want it all centered. So we are going to do sort of center this way and center this way. And then it automatically perfectly centers it, right? So that's the idea there. There we go. Okay, good. Next. Oh boy, layers. Okay, so layers work like this. If I have a circle and a square on a different layer and a different color, let's say, right? And the square's in this layer, and the circle's in this layer, and I move the square here, it'll look like it's above it because the square layer is above the circle layer. If I move that, if I drag it here, look, now the circle's above it because what's on top here looks like it's on top here. That's the simple logic of layers, and it's so important, so important. I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to get rid of this, and we're going to use that to our benefit in making something like this. But what you want to avoid is, like, if we tried to do this on one layer and we even got sort of an ellipse tool and we marked this out and we adjusted it like that, right? And then we wanted to get this other piece, this darker part, and we're trying to like match it with the pen tool. And even if we do a pretty good job, it's a nightmare. Let's just do that. It's not bad, but it's really not very good. And it's harder than it needs to be. So what's better is we're going to use layers to make this easier. So if we have this and we put it on a layer above here, watch this. So I'm going to make a new layer. Let's do cylinder top. I'll do another layer called cylinder bottom. And in the cylinder top layer, I'm going to make this top part of it. There we go. Okay. And in the bottom part, we're going to do the bottom part of the cylinder. And here's a good rule. Don't ever redo a contour. If I've already defined this contour, don't do it again because that's a waste of time. And it can be cleaner if you just use layers to show the difference. Meaning, oops. If I just drag a rectangle now on the layer under it, it's perfectly clean, right? That shape doesn't actually look like that, but since it's on a layer under it, we get that sense of depth, right? So this is how we can start to use layers really cleverly. And if we can, as much as we can do this, the easier and better our work, really cleaner it becomes anyway. And look, if we can figure out, oh, look, this is looking the same as this, right? Why don't I just copy it, put it into this bottom layer, and then we can match the color and all of that. So much of it is being sort of clever with the tools, right? So there we go. We've got our cylinder using layers, and it's clean. All right, almost done with step one. All right, this is an easy one. This is useful. The point of this is that you don't have to, if you have a shape like this, you could try to sort of trace it in the pen tool, but I would not want to do that. If you notice, oh, look, it's like an oval and another oval, basically. So what you could do is make those ovals, right? And we're going to join them together. This is sort of a silly example because who wants to make a shape like this? But you see, there's better applications, which hopefully I'll show you. So we've got these two things, and this looks fine, and sometimes it's okay to have them as separate shapes, but often you want them to be the same shape, this one single shape. So to do that, we're going to open the Pathfinder tool. We'll select them, selection tool, just drag to select them both. There's lots of things you can do. This joins them. This is the unite one right here. And look, now it's a single shape just like that. That's it. That's an easy one. Really useful. Here's another one. Watch this. Okay, so how we can make a triangle? Well, an easy way would be with the pen tool. It's super easy. You know how to do that already, hopefully. Just to show you, there's also the polygon tool. And this is like that star tool where if you press up, it makes more sides. If you press down, it makes fewer sides, including a triangle. So you can make a triangle that way too. Almost easier to use the pen tool, in fact, isn't it? All right. For this one, you probably figured out it's the same kind of concept as the last one, except we're going to cut a piece out of it, right? So I'm going to toggle the visibility so I can see that, right? And maybe get on a layer above it. That looks like a circle to me. Try to match that circle as best as we can. There we go. And now we've got the two. We can, if we change it, we can see the difference. That's not a big change. There we go. Now what we do here is we select them both again, and we choose this one, right? And it takes it away. Good. That's easy too. Okay, now this can be really useful for making patterns and making things look really neat. Okay, so let's do this. Let's make a circle, as we've done. I don't need to redraw the circle. I can copy and paste it. So if I select it, I can do edit, copy, or Control C, and then edit, paste, or Control V, right? And we don't need to be perfect. Watch, so what if we want to go for this, but we don't have the actual pattern to trace it? So we can just Control C, Control V. Even select all of these, Control C, Control V, Control V, right? How do we then make it look nice and clean and perfect that way, right? Well, we can select and align just like we did, right? Select and align, select and align, select and align, right? And that aligns them that way. You can align these. You can align these. And then if we want to sort of make them evenly spaced, right? We need to group them. I'll show you. So we want to put this in a group. What I mean is like this. Watch, maybe this is a better thing to say. What if we want these to be all evenly distributed, right? We can select them all, we can center them, and then we can distribute them, right? We want them to be all equal distances between them. That's what we kind of want. That's what we can do here. To do that for like a grid, it's a good idea to have to use groups. So we want to put all of these into a group, and then we can repeat it. So they're aligned. We'll center them that way. We can distribute them. And then I want to put these into a group and make it easier. So I just select them all, and I do group or Control G. This is too much, maybe. Then we're going to copy and paste, and they paste in groups. And then when they're in groups, we can just align and distribute. Sorry. Okay, so there we go. Yeah, it's close enough. Hey, the size isn't right, but the principle is there. Okay. All right, one more for this, and then that's it. Okay, so this is from Malak Hafaf. So if you to start making something that looks like a shape. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to try to make this as easy as possible. And so what we're going to do is there's a tool that lets you say, I've got this thing and I've got this other thing kind of on top of it. I can split the difference. That's an odd way to say that. If I want the intersection, right, this thing right here, that's another one of those Pathfinder tools. So if I do this, I'll get this piece, right? You see where those two shapes intersect. If I move this closer, it'll be even a different path, right? Be like that. So we can get really clever with using those things to make something like this. And so there's probably a lot of ways to do it, but I think the easiest way would be to do kind of an outline of the lips. And this has got to be the pen tool. Control click to deselect. This is no way I'm going to get this done in one curve, so I'm going to do it in two curves. Control click to deselect. There we go. Control click to deselect. You do it so often, that's why I wanted to show you. What am I doing here? Try it here. There we go. I think I'm going to start that one again. And it's odd because a lot of it is intuitive. So here, look, I can't see. So I'm going to switch it to stroke so I can see. All right, close enough. Okay, so we've got the sort of base of the lips. Right, we got that. Put it on a lower layer. There we go. And then what we want to do is we want to find that intersection, right, to get this other shape. And so we don't need to trace this again. If you've done a contour, you really don't need to do it again. But we haven't gotten this contour of the black shape, so let's do this one. Is that going to make it? Yeah, that's good. And it doesn't matter what happens over here. Maybe you understand why, but if not, I'll show you. There we go. Yeah, this part doesn't really matter because we just want that intersection between our two shapes. Okay, so this looks odd, but it will work, I promise. So we've got our base lip shape, and we've got this part that we've seen. Right? And so what we want is this sort of intersection shape. Now, the one thing is that it'll get rid of both shapes. So we do want to make sure we have a copy of this. So I'm going to copy it. I'll just paste it like that, right? So I always have an original. And then I'm going to select the two again, and I'll check that intersection thing, right? And since I put it on another layer, now I've got the two. Was that too fast? Anyway, that's how you do it. Okay, so that's step one.